What's good, YouTube? It's your boy LB Dino. I appreciate you checking out the vid. Hope you enjoy it. Okay, we got another breaking point segment. Cinema flips to independent. Let's see what they talking about.
All right, guys, some big breaking news this morning. A big Washington bombshell. Senator Krysten Sinema, formerly Democrat of Arizona, has decided that she is going to register as a political independent. So, of course, this has thrown everybody into a giant tizzy, trying to figure out what her plan is, what this means for Washington. And it's particularly noteworthy because Democrats just won an outright majority in the Senate with the victory in Georgia. So a bunch of questions still remain. Obviously, when she was a Democrat...
She wasn't a Democrat in the first place, if you want to look at it, because she was only like, I don't know, like, it seems to me like she really wanted to be a Republican, but she just decided to run as a Democrat. That's how it feels like. But they're all the same, so it doesn't even really matter.
It was 51-49, so the question is, will she caucus with the Democrats the way that, say, Bernie Sanders does? What I've seen reported so far, Sagar, is that she's not planning on going to the caucus meetings, but she still wants to maintain her committee positions. So that would sort of indicate she wants to still caucus with the Democrats, which would still give them that majority edge. That matters for things like judicial nominations and significantly subpoena power, which is something that they've been floating that they might use to, like, call corporate CEOs on the carpet and things like that in this session.
Right. So as I understand it, that kind of fits with the way Angus King operates in the Senate, technically independent, but does caucus with the Democrats. I do have her statement here that I can read for everyone. Quote, "In a natural extension of my service since I first elected to Congress, I have joined the growing number of Arizonans rejecting party politics by declaring my independence from the broken partisan system in Washington, formally registering as an Arizona independent. Over the past 4 years, I've worked proudly with other senators in both parties and forced consensus on successful laws. Becoming an independent won't change my work in the Senate. My service to Arizona remains the same." And she also reiterated that in her interview with Politico, where she announced this, quote, "I do not anticipate anything will change about Senate structure," talking about the party politics. "I intend to show up to work, do the same work I always do. I just intend to show up to work."
The work that she always does, which is what does she actually do? What do these niggas be doing in those offices, bro? Just bullshitting, bro. Like, bro, you gotta really get into what these politicians be doing.
Independent. I'm curious what your thoughts are on the political strategy here. Will she run?
I have many thoughts.
For
I have many
re-election?
thoughts.
Go ahead.
Crystal tight.
Okay, so first of all, I want to disabuse anyone who might hear that statement and say, oh, well, what's wrong with being an independent? Isn't that great to not be beholden to partisan politics? Let me just say that Krysten Sinema has never, since she's been in the Senate, served anyone except corporate donors. That's why she is incredibly unpopular with Democrats, incredibly unpopular with Republicans, and incredibly unpopular with independents. Just to give you a few key examples of this, you may remember she is one of the top recipients of money from the private equity industry, and she has carried water for them repeatedly, making sure that that carried interest loophole that is just a giant giveaway to that industry never gets closed. So just outright villain on that account, serving her corporate masters. And also in terms of lowering prescription drug prices, she has been a consistent ally of Big Pharma, who she also gets a ton of campaign cash from. So let's just disabuse anyone of the notion that this...
Do you understand what that means? It's what goes on in these in both of these Republican and Democratic parties. It's what goes on. They get money from the places that they're supposed to regulate to not regulate it. That's the whole game. That's politics, bro. That's everything. The reason why nothing changes, everything stays the same, is because of money. Period.
Who she also gets a ton of campaign cash from. So let's just disabuse anyone of the notion that this is like, oh, she's an independent and she's just heterodox. No, no, no. This is all about Krysten Sinema making a cynical political maneuver. And I'll tell you, Sagar, and you tell me if you think this makes sense, what I think her calculus calculus was here. She was very likely to lose in a Democratic primary. She was going to get her ass kicked, very likely by Ruben Gallego, who is a member of Congress. She's been polling pathetically with Democrats and with the party. So she was going to lose a Democratic primary. So instead, she's decided that she's going to force the party into this sort of Sophie's choice, where they can either run their own candidate against her in the next election and have to worry about whether she's going to siphon any votes off of their nominee and make what's already a difficult state to win.
Nigga, she should be out of there, bro. Like, what do you mean? Siphon votes? Who the hell would vote? Yo, but this is the problem with these niggas out here, bro. Niggas be uninformed, don't know what's going on with these people, just voting for people because they like them or because they black or whatever. It's the problem with niggas. Or just vote for niggas because they Democrats or Republicans. Nigga, know who you voting for.
Even more difficult. Or they can do like what they do with Angus King and some other independents and basically back down, sort of tacitly support her bid, thinking that, all right, well, having Krysten Sinema, I guess, even though she's a weak candidate and is a corporate tool, is better than allowing the Republican to get into office. So I think that was her play here. I think it's sort of a desperate maneuver. She didn't have a lot of great options because she is so unpopular across the board.
Yeah, this is the thing, though. I thought she was going to leave and go do her corporation thing. That's what I thought, because I thought she knew that she was going to lose because she was so trash and so hated. So she knew she was going to lose, so she was just going to get ready for her corporate job. Like, that's what I thought.
But I think she thought she would threaten to blow up Democratic Party chances in the state of Arizona and hope they just back down and allow her sort of tacitly to be their nominee.
As you said, there was Representative Ruben Gallego, who was already mounting a potential primary challenge against her from the left. Then we also hear
look at Saga's cat.
Net favorability actually right in front of me. So all likely voters, we have 37% in Arizona with 54% unfavorable. For Democrats, it was 37% favorable, 57% unfavorable. Amongst independents, it was slightly better, 41% favorable, 51% unfavorable.
Look at the cat all in the screen.
36% favorable, 54% unfavorable. So nobody particularly had like a great love for Krysten Sinema. Overall, she was underwater with every single demographic in the state of Arizona. And also, I do think that your analysis on the blackmail view really does seem to be key, because the other answer for her and her camp will be, well, okay, or do you want Kari Lake to be the next senator from Arizona, who very well may run for Senate now that she has still such a hold on Arizona GOP?
That's right. That is precisely her calculation here. Now, I would say that given her weakness, I mean, you just gave the numbers, like no one likes this lady. Democrats need to buck up, get behind a candidate that actually has real widespread appeal, you know, believe in their ability to beat a total charlatan like Kari Lake, who just lost in the state and is not going to be any stronger next time around, is likely to be much weaker than she was this time around, and actually try to beat Krysten Sinema and get a better representative there. I think that is the Democratic Party.
It's mad funny.
Do they have, like...
It's mad funny watching them try to do their show at home and you hear all the stuff in the background, just like you hear all the stuff in my background and all that. You know what I'm saying? But it's mad funny how they're being professional and keeping focused on their job. You see the animals in the background. Sagar just had a cat in his background, and Crystal had a dog in her background.
Whatever to do that, who knows? But, you know, for Krysten Sinema, it's a win-win, because either she...
U.S. Army. Was this nigga in the Army?
Slides through and gets reelected through her, like, blackmail scheme here, effectively. Or she blows up the Democratic Party chances and can go then get a cushy job, you know, in the corporate sector, which is what she's clearly been positioning herself for a long time. Because there was another direction she could have gone in. She could have been a better senator. She could have, you know, broken from her corporate masters. And then she might have actually had a shot at winning a Democratic primary. But she didn't want to cut off that ability for herself to be able to cash in after her time of service. So for her, like I said, it's a win-win. She either gets back in the Senate, I think that's very unlikely just given how incredibly unpopular she is, or she gets to go and make a bunch of money in the private sector where, you know, clearly she's been sort of, that's where her true loyalty has been. So the idea that she's any kind of an independent thinker is ridiculous. She doesn't serve.
Hopefully, niggas in Arizona understand what this chick is and gets her the hell up out of there. You know what I'm saying? But knowing humans and how they behave, they just gonna vote for blue. Like, that's how niggas act.
She doesn't serve either of these parties, although both of these parties tend to serve their corporate masters as well. She has always served private equity industry, big pharma, whoever will fill her campaign coffers with the most donations. That record is incredibly clear.
Yeah, and she was actually asked in this interview with Politico, will you entertain a second run? She says, quote, "It is fair to say I am not talking about it right now. I keep my eye focused on what I'm doing, and registering as an independent is, I believe, right for my state. It's right for me. I think it's right for the country, and that politics and elections will come later." So, I mean, famously, apparently she doesn't like being a senator very much. It's possible, Crystal, that she just goes independent for the last 2 years of her term, and then she just cashes out and leaves.
Facts.
Preference for everybody, but I do see some forward calculus in this as to how exactly she would run and try and force her hand and make sure that she doesn't face some sort of brutal primary and still is able to basically get what she wants in further Senate negotiations.
Yeah, I swear, if niggas really vote for her again, bro,
by Democrats means that she's gonna have,
like, bro, stop voting for these niggas, bro.
But still quite a bit of power, especially if her and Joe Manchin are teamed up together.
You know, one thing I saw people float is like, well, why didn't she?
Both of them need to be up out of here, bro. Manchin and this nigga.
Why doesn't she run as a Republican? And the answer from the numbers you lay down is really clear. Like, they don't want her either. And so given her, right, so she wasn't going to win a Republican primary either. She can't win a Democratic primary so long as she continues to be, you know, a stooge of private equity, a stooge of big pharma. So this was kind of her last-ditch ploy. Now, maybe it's true. Maybe she doesn't even care about being in the Senate anymore, and she just wants to go and serve.
Oh, no, that's a cat.
In which case, you know,
they both got cats.
Well up to do that as well. So I just want to make sure people understand, you know, not all independents are created equal. It is great to be, you know, outside of the sort of partisan, narrow thinking. It is great to actually serve the people instead of your sort of partisan team. But that is not who Krysten Sinema is. That is not who she's been. That is not who she's going to be. And it's an extraordinary arc for someone who started as a Green Party candidate, like on the hard left, as an anti-war activist. Someone who, when she came into the Senate,
You see what I'm saying? Like, this is what politics do. Even if you're supposedly far left or whatever the hell that means, you end up becoming a corporate servant. Like, it just, to me, son, it's just about monies for these people. If they made it so these niggas couldn't get the money from these bum ass companies anymore, you would see mad people not want to be senators and not want to be politicians no more. Which is why they have that rule in there. And it's like, bro, people, it's plain as day to see. If you took that type of money out of politics, make sure that they can't do stocks, make sure that they can't get money from corporations, make sure they only can make a set amount of money. That's not no astronomical shit. Bro, niggas would be running from being politicians. But yeah, that's the video for this one. That's the reaction to this one. Let's get into the next one. Church.